working out in the shop today on Dig Dug. Last week I got the bed put together and the shocks in. I need to get this truck out of here as quickly as possible and get it up to Resurgence Automotive to get it painted. I'm actually late. I should have been there a few days ago. So today I'm trying to do the bare minimum to get this truck loaded up and take it to Resurgence. One of the first things I need to do is get it steering. I've got my steering gear in and I have a column in place, but I'm missing the pieces that go in between the steering shaft. My shock hoop is right in the way, so I've got to make a steering shaft that'll bend around that and hook the two together. Steering shaft, hoop that's in the way, steering gear. I already redid all the plumbing on the PSC steering gear, so it's ready to roll. I won't have the ram hooked up right now. We'll install that later, but it should be enough to get it on and off a trailer. Down here is the parts I'm going to use to put this together. I've got the old steering rag joint that I took out. I don't really like this style. And I've got a bunch of these new steering U-joints that I'll use. I've got this DD shaft right here. That'll be my steering shaft. We'll cut it to length. And I've got this bearing here. The real bearing that I need to use is actually installed. I used it temporarily for the panhard bar. So I need to cut that out, weld in an insert for this one, and then I can use that bearing to help direct the shaft around that hoop that's in the way. The panhard bar had two right-hand threads in it, which means it wasn't adjustable. So I just tacked this one into place. I'll remove it and pull it out. We'll use this one for the steering, and I'll weld in the left hand that I have now. I got off the tie rod end that I needed, and it fits perfectly over this shaft. So that'll make a really nice steering shaft bearing. So I need to go figure out how to use this, attach it to that hoop so that it'll support the shaft. So this U-joint's going on first. It needs to attach to the column. Right in here. There we go. Next I need to connect a short piece of this steering shaft, and that's what the bearing's gonna ride on. So I think my bearing will fit in here something like this. I can mount right in here to this hoop, and the shaft will bend here, it'll bend again, and go right down to the steering box. So I need to make a little bracket that'll mount this right in here. Here's a little bracket I sketched out on this piece of steel. I'm gonna cut this out and drill out that hole. I'm using my can cut drill bits for this. Look at the tip on that one. That's a beauty, eh? All right, this is what my little bracket looks like. I think it's gonna work. I could just use a jam nut down here on this side instead of this tube insert, but I don't have one. So I'm just gonna use this. I'll chop it down so it just looks like a regular nut. Let's go test fit it in the truck. All right, slips on there. And I think that looks great. That ought to work. I can strengthen it up by adding a little triangle gusset down in here. I'll probably do that. Then the other U-joint's gonna go right on here and aim down to the box. All right, I'm gonna chop down this tube insert so it's just a regular nut. That's what I need to chop down. All right, that's all I need. All right, I'm just test fitting it all together before I weld it on and it won't move anymore. Man, these joints are really tight. I think they made them the right size and then they painted them, and now they're really tough to get them to go together. This is turning really nice. I like the way everything's working. I built a little cardboard gusset that fits right in there. I'm gonna go make one out of steel and we can weld this thing up. I think we're all finished there. I'm gonna move on to these lower brackets for the coilover shocks. So I cut these out a week or so ago while I had the CNC plasma cutter up and running, but I need to clean them up and I need to drill out the holes and then I need to weld them right down into here. And the one that's on there needs to get welded in better. I just kind of tacked it in place because I didn't want to burn up the bushings down there. So I need to take those lower control arms off and burn all this in nice and hot. Right in here. I don't know if you can see it, but this tool puts a nice little chamfer on all those corners and it makes it so the bolts slide in and out really nice. All right, these should be ready to weld in. All right, let's see if this will come apart. Okay, I'm hoping that the links on the other side will keep the whole axle from tipping. Okay, there's one. Well, that one's loose. That's nice. That's coming right out. I think if I push the axle, oh yeah, it's coming nice and easy. These are gonna fall right out of here. Okay. That wasn't too bad. This is the part that's going in, and it's gonna go across from this one right in here. So the shock will sit right in between them. So I'm gonna go grab a spacer that I used on the back end, and I'm gonna sandwich that in between these two, and then I can go burn them in. I've got my spacer in there now, and I should be able to weld both sides of those brackets. And they need to be really strong because the entire truck hangs off this bracket. So we're gonna bomb that one in really good. Everything's cooled off down here. I'm gonna see if I can start getting it back together. There we go. All right, got it. Okay, this side's all back together. I'm gonna go weld up the other side. Got the same thing going on right here. I have this bracket in place and I need to weld in another one right here. So I'm gonna pull out the joints on this side and then I can weld it all up. All right, this side's all done and it's going back together. I got it. Okay, there it is. This side's back together. I can put on the panhard bar now. All right, the panhard bar is back in place. I've got a whole bunch of nuts and bolts all over the place that I need to tighten up, and then I can start working on the top side. Okay, everything's welded in, the links are connected. I think the bottom end of the truck is good. I'm gonna go up on the top end and figure out what it's gonna take to put these coilovers in. Before I put in the coilovers, I need to build a bar that'll connect the hoops together. It'll go up across the engine. It needs to be removable so I can take the engine out someday. I'm gonna start working on an idea to connect those together. I'll show you what I come up with. All right, I made a few measurements in here, and I don't think round tubing will work. I just don't have enough clearance between the top of the hoop and my hood when I close it. So I'm thinking of using square tube or rectangular tube, 2x1, and I can come up, I'll barely clear the master cylinder here, and I'll go across. I've built a couple little plates like this that I can weld in here. I'll be able to drill holes in those plates and then bolt this bar in, that way it's removable. I'm gonna lay out these plates so I can start drilling the holes. All right, I made matching plates. So one of these will weld in and one of these will weld to the bar, and I'll drill holes through both of them and then I can bolt them together. I'm using this old pair of calipers to scribe my lines on here so I know where to drill my holes. And people say that's a big no-no. I see it in the comments all the time. Don't ruin your calipers. Well, this is an old cheap pair that I'm okay ruining, and it's actually lasted for years. The tips are hardened and they work great as scribes, so I'm gonna keep doing it. I've got my holes marked out by marking little lines. I don't know if you can see them on there. I'm gonna use a center punch now, and then I'll go drill them out. I'm gonna take these two plates and tack weld them together. That way when I drill the holes through them, they'll line up perfectly. These are welded together and they're ready to drill now. The center punch makes a little dimple. I don't know if you can see these. And the drill bit will actually line up in that so you can get the hole exactly where you want it. I'm gonna weld some nuts to the back side of this plate so it'll be easier to bolt together. I won't have to get a wrench back up in the back side. So to make sure that the nuts line up perfectly with the hole, I put a taper on this nut. So I'll stick that through this side and it'll center up the bolt. And then I'll put that nut on the back side. And when it's done, it should be perfectly centered in there. Sometimes if you weld these together a little bit off center, the bolt doesn't want to go through because it rubs against the side of the steel. So this is my solution to fix that. We'll see how it works. Okay, these are all welded up now and I bolted them together. The method of using the tapered nut on the backside to align them worked pretty good, but I did have to run a tap through one or two of them to make the bolt go through nice and clean. So I'm gonna go stick these in the truck, tack them into place, and then start trying to build that cross piece between the two hoops. Okay. I want it to fit right in here like this. And then I'm gonna start building out with some rectangular tubing. I have to go high enough to clear the master cylinder, but low enough I don't hit the hood. So it's gonna be kind of a tight squeeze. You gotta get it just right. I think that's too tall. I need this piece to be shorter. Right now I'm just gonna tack everything in until I get the whole thing working and I can close the hood, and then I'll come back and I'll weld it all up. All right, the piece is definitely a little bit long and I need to trim the angle a little bit steeper. So I'll keep working on this until it fits nice. Needs more. Getting closer. everything tacked together now, and I pulled it out so that I can weld it up on my bench. Then I can clean it up really good and weld it in place on the hoops when I'm done. I spent a little extra time cleaning this one because it's going to be right on top of the engine, so it'll be really visible. This isn't a show truck, but I wanted this to look nice. I'm ready now to weld in the brackets, then I can put this in. Sometimes getting your head back in here to see what you're doing is the hardest part. All right, these turned out really good. I'm not done though. I've got to get the crossbar back in here. So I need to bolt these plates on the top and set that in there and then weld it all together. The brace between the hoops is all welded in, and it stiffened everything up a lot. So I feel good about putting in the coilover shocks now. There's still more bracing that's gonna happen down on the frame, but it'll easily hold body weight right now. There's also just enough clearance between the master cylinder and the brace that I think I can still add some brake fluid. Once the coilovers are in, I should be able to load this thing up and get on the road to Resurgence. These are the shocks going on the front of the truck. This is a 14-inch Bilstein coilover. I've got springs that I need to get loaded on here, and then I can try and fit them in. Let's get these put together. These are fully assembled now. They're also fully extended. So I'm gonna go lower the axle in the truck so this will fit in there and I can connect the top end, and then we'll raise the axle up so I can get the bottom. I got this in. There's a bolt in the top and the bottom now. It was kind of a battle, but I learned some stuff that I'll use on the other side. Now I've got to figure out where to put these big old reservoirs. Check them out. They're so cool. Oh, it's probably going to go right there. Oh yeah, I like that. All right, I'm going to grab the stuff to mount these up. Oh man, that is looking so good. I love this. Okay, I want to line that sticker, but I'm out of time. So I just got to get the other one installed and load this thing as quick as I can. All right, I got the bottom in. I need to drop this axle a little bit further or lift the truck up more to squeeze this top end in. I got it. Okay, this side's in and together. I just need to get this shock mounted. All right, this is it. Everything is in now. So I got the shock mounted on this side, the reservoir's in, crossbar. I am ready to set this truck down onto its axle for the first time on the springs. We'll see, this is kind of a guessing game of where it's gonna land ride height wise. Hopefully we get something good. If not, then I just can make adjustments by changing out the springs, and there's things to play with there. But this will be my first glimpse of looking at Dig Dug sitting on its suspension with all the tires on. It's been a long time since Dig Dug was sitting on all fours, so I'm really excited to see it. It's sitting a little bit low in the front, but that's okay because the coilovers have an adjustment and you can go 3-4 inches up. So I can try that, or I can swap out the springs and try some stiffer springs. Look how soft the suspension is in this. Dig Dug was very rough before. It was a really harsh ride, so this will be fantastic. I'm really excited to get it on a trail. I know that's gonna be a little while. I don't have time to mess with the suspension right now. I'm just gonna get it loaded up on the trailer and head on up to Resurgence. I should be on the road this morning with this truck, but I talked to Rob last night and he needs an extra day to finish up the Chevelle that they're building for SEMA. The Chevelle's the really cool car at the Bronco shop. I'll show you really quick. It's right here. Anyway, they're doing that, so that gives me an extra day to finish up a bunch of stuff on this, so I'm gonna get back to work. The first thing I wanna do is patch in this hole for the old gas filler. A little filler, and I'm sure that'll look great. It'll definitely look better than it did. The next thing that I want to do is I want to build a tube that goes from both of these hoops that crosses over between them. I think that'll strengthen them up because there's a little bit of inward force on them, and it'll just look really cool. So it goes somewhere right in here. All right, let's see how this piece is gonna fit. Pretty close. Gonna take a little work, not much. All right, I think that's the spot right there. This bar's in, it's nice and solid. I gave it a shake test. Next thing I want to work on is rock sliders. I built one on this side. I never did one for the other side. So I'm going to copy this one and build some for over here. This is the tubing I'm going to use. I buy it in pieces that are like 4.5 feet long and I get it really cheap. And it's not quite long enough. So I'm going to cut up 2 of them and then splice them together. Tubes are going to be butt welded together, and to make it really, really strong, I'm going to taper the edges of that joint so the weld will penetrate all the way through. I'm going to use this chunk of angle iron to hold it all together straight while I weld it up. This rock slider is all welded up. I also capped both of the ends so I won't get water and mud and sand in there. It's time now to take a look at the truck and draw out the line where I need to cut and weld this in. The rock slider is going to fit right down in here, and I've got some rust down here, so I'm happy to be cutting that out, but hopefully that doesn't go too far up into the rest of the cab. I'm going to draw out my line down here and start cutting it with a zip disc. This piece is all cleaned up. I'm gonna go try and fit it in and weld it on. All right, somewhere in here, just like this, I just gotta scooch it over. I'm gonna bounce back and forth between that side and this one, measuring things and making sure they look exactly the same. I've got everything lined up even on both sides, so I'm gonna start tacking this thing in. There was actually a lot of stuff that had to happen to get this truck ready to go, so I finally had to put the camera down and just knock out a bunch of things. But I'll show you really quick what I was up to. I got this rock slider fully installed on this side, and I put in a bunch of other small tubes right here and here. I put one down here and here, 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 and up here. I drilled the holes for the gas tank. It's gonna go right behind the cab. Angela helped me take out the windshield, and she also helped remove the whole wiring harness from inside the truck. I put in the axle shafts, and up here I installed the Warren hubs. I love Warren hubs. I think they've been making hubs since 1948. That is a long time. A lot of hub companies have come and gone in that time, but they're still making them. So classic hubs for a classic truck. I've got the winch wired up so I can load it on the trailer, and the steering is all done, so this should be ready to load. I thought the steering was ready to go and I could load this on the trailer, but it looks like I'm still missing something. Fortunately, there was just a delivery. Check this out, hot and ready. Oh, check that out. Leather wrapped, Let's go finish the steering. I can already tell this is gonna be awesome. Okay, time to load her up. It's an EV. Stop. Oh, I got no brakes. We're all loaded up and ready to hit the road. I am super excited to get Dig Dug out of my garage and into somebody else's garage because the paint is coming. It's gonna be soon, so we'll get on the road and take you along with us. I've been on the road for about 2 hours, and I've got about 2 more hours to go to get to Fairfield. It's near Salt Lake City. That's where Resurgence Automotive's at. And Rob's been working late every night trying to get the Chevelle done, so I'm sure he'll be there when I arrive. And we'll just go check out and see the projects that he's got going on. I have no idea what this next week is gonna look like. I'm gonna be staying up there and working with him every day. And they got a lot of cool people in their shop. They got a lot of stuff going on. And it'll just be fun to work side by side with them, learn some tricks about body work and paint, and get this truck done. I'm so excited. I've been working on this truck for 25 years. Almost 25 years I've been playing around with this truck, and it's been in various stages of running, but I've never had it painted. It's never looked really cool. I'm really excited to get up there, and we'll just see how it goes. It's a little bit overcast today. It's been dry for a long time, but today I'm hoping it doesn't rain on this raw steel on the truck. Got a Maverick coming up here in a few miles. I'll stop in and we'll diesel up. Everything's looking good. I'm just gonna keep cruising along. We should be there in about another 2 hours. All right, as you can see, it's getting late, but I have arrived and Rob is here and he's got Spencer here. We're gonna get this thing pushed off the trailer and pushed into the shop.
Party time. Let's get this done, man. We've done crazier things before, but let's do it.
Rob knows how to work hard in crunch time. Like he can just get stuff done. So this is the perfect place to be.
I think Trent's term was pull a rabbit out of a hat. Is that what it was?
You guys seem to do it a lot though, so you're getting good at it.
I'm getting sick of playing rabbit.
All right, let's push this off.
Let's do it.
Right now.
Good.
Tom, jump in there. Okay, we're gonna go grab all of the parts and everything else in the truck that I brought up with me and just pile them up in here. They helped me get everything loaded in here. I brought a whole pile of parts with me. I'm gonna be running back home in 4 or 5 days and bringing up another load of stuff, but this should keep us busy for a while. I'm in here snooping around in their shop, and this is supposed to be the Chevelle that's going to SEMA. I didn't even recognize it as a Chevelle here. I can't believe this is gonna go. So they've got the body in the oven over here baking. It's like 140 degrees in there, and they're not revealing it until they're actually at SEMA. But I'm gonna try and get a peek really quick. Let's see if we can go see something. They turned off the oven so I could get in here, and this is it right here. They haven't even taken the wrapper off of this thing. So they just barely got it dry, and I think they're trying to put it together tomorrow. I don't know how much I can show on the video, but here's a peek. All right, I'm really excited to be here in this shop, but it is getting late and it's time for me to get a couple hours of sleep because next week is gonna be huge. Thanks for watching.